Our first guest our guests are Tom and Sue Massari. Shortly after Tom and Sue began dating in 1973, someone else manifested through Tom and gave the name Abram, who Tom and Sue later discovered was a powerful Mayan shaman. For almost 2 weeks, he would appear to Tom at night in his bedroom. One evening, while Tom was teaching an ESP class, Abram's energy came in and filled the room. Sue remembers Tom backing himself into a corner, pushing some metal fold-up chairs out of the way. In the process, she could see the energy all around Tom, reaching out about 3 to 4 feet from his body. She recalls Tom's body stiffening, his face contorting. Abram announced himself and began speaking for the first time. Their website is www.abramchanneling.com. Their book is called The Art of Reclaiming Your Intention and Power. Without any further delay, let's get them on the line. Tom and Sue, good evening. Welcome to K-Talk and the Fringe Radio Show.
Hi, Pat. Thanks for having us on.
Hi, Pat.
Well, thank you for being here. Now, are you down in Florida, correct?
We are down in Florida.
And I bet it's a lot warmer and nicer there than it is here today.
Yeah, it's nice and warm, but it's real nice and humid too.
Well, we've got humidity too, about 2 to 3 inches of it falling down. But
oh man!
But yeah, we were in the midst of summer, and I knew I was trying to hold off fall for as long as we can, and sure enough, it showed up. Anyway, it's an honor to have you both on the program tonight, and giving up some time on a Saturday night. I read a little bit of your bio. Why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners, give us a little bit of the backstory. This sounds like a very interesting situation, Tom.
Okay. Do you want me to go ahead and start with how I started channeling?
Sure. Go ahead,
okay.
My friend.
All right. When I lived in Chicago, when I was about 15, I got into a band, and from there I got into another band and moved to California in '72 with that band. I was a drummer, and my focus was music supposedly for the rest of my life. But you probably know, as everyone else and as I know, when you have a plan, you need to leave room for change because it's going to change no matter what. Right. So in '72, as I was a drummer in a rock band in California, in L.A., I was with my girlfriend at the time, and she had 3 sons. In one of her son's bedroom, I always felt like I was never alone. I always felt like there was a ghost there. So we had a friend visiting us one night, and the 3 of us were just sitting around doing nothing, and I said, let's go in the bedroom and see if we can talk to the ghost. Now, we had no idea what we were doing. Walked into the bedroom, felt the chills and the energy, and we started asking questions like, who are you? How did you die? Why are you here? What's the deal? And after a while, I started getting answers, but I did not hear any voices. The answers were in the form of a feeling inside of me. So someone would ask a question, and I would give the answer. This is what I'm getting. I would give the answer. After about a half hour of doing that, we all started feeling kind of nauseous and a heaviness on our chest. So I said, let's get out of here and go in the front room and relax. So they went, my girlfriend and our friend went into the front room. I went into the kitchen to get a drink of water. On my way into the front room, I was stopped. It was like somebody was holding me. I couldn't move. And I felt this huge electric field, this energy field around me. And I knew something was going to happen, so I told them, I said, watch me. Something is happening. Make sure I'm going to be okay. And all of a sudden, I started, or some other personality started reciting Shakespeare. Wow. That went on for about 3.5 hours. For a few minutes, it would be this other personality reciting Shakespeare. Then I would snap back and say, what the heck is going on? When this personality was reciting Shakespeare, I actually saw him on the stage, rounded front stage with the gas lanterns, I guess they are, back then on the stage, the purple velvet curtains and everything. And he gave a name of John Rolfes, lived in England in the late 1700s, and what he did was he was in a Shakespearean acting theater troupe that used to perform for people waiting to get into the theater to see the main play. So after about 3.5 hours of this going back and forth between he and I thought, okay, either I'm like crazy or this is real. real, I should be able to look this guy up in a library book and find him, which I did. Went to the library, I did some research, and I found him. And that's when I knew it was real, and I figured, okay, since it's not frightening, if it happens again, I'll see what happens. And then in 73 or 74, both Sue and I were in Milwaukee at the same time for a short time, and I was there for a short time. And we had gotten together, and if it's okay, I'll let her tell the story.
Sure, of course.
From this point on, because she could do a better job than I can.
I found my way to the Parapsychology Center to take what they called them ESP classes back then. And also back in the 70s, what Tom does was called mediumship. It was not called channeling.
Right.
So I went to the ESP classes, and this one particular night, it just got really very, very weird. The room filled with energy, and like you had mentioned, Tom had backed up into the corner. I could see this energy. It was behind him. It was also radiating from him, and it looked like it was going out several feet. And he just started stiffening up and moving and closing his eyes and opening his eyes, and his face contorted, and then all of a sudden, boom, this loud, boisterous voice came through. And we were all kind of shocked because none of us had ever seen that before. We didn't really know about it, so it was all very new for everyone in the class. And he continued with this in all of the classes, and we received a great deal of information. A lot of really strange things happened in the classes, energy type of things that Abram would do with us. And that's basically how it all began.
Did it scare some people, Sue?
I was frightened. No. I was intrigued. I was excited, but then there was that fear factor.
Right.
That, and I didn't know what the fear was. I just knew I had not seen it before. I was comfortable with it, but yet when Abram would come through, it was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Is he going to come to me and talk to me? And which he did several times, especially when the John Rolfe scenario was being talked about. And Abram came up right into my face, almost nose to nose, and started with one hand, took his hand like he was being stabbed in the chest. And I had no idea what that meant. He didn't say what it meant. I thought, oh my God, did I kill Tom in a past life or something?
Right.
And come to find out down the road that John Rolfe was killed in a duel with being stabbed in the chest. And Tom actually has an indentation in his chest that's really not quite normal.
Let me ask you, Tom, when Abram makes his presence, I mean, do you sense him there? Do you go offline? I mean, what happens?
All I do, I've been doing this for a little over 41 years. So
okay.
All I do at this point is, when I first started, I used to get myself ready, and in the very beginning, it would happen in the middle of the night, and I would jump out of bed and yell for everybody to get the recorder and get the tape going so we can record it. But it's gotten to a point now where really all I do is I say, I'm ready when you are, and I relax for about a minute, and then I feel this huge energy on my back, almost like it's coming into my body, and then it's like I go to sleep, and Abram starts talking. And if he does a session, or when he does a session, I could remember maybe 2 minutes out of an hour or an hour and 15 minutes worth of him talking. talking. So I record everything that we do, and that's how I hear it. I hear it in the recording afterwards.
Interesting, very interesting. So you kind of step aside, if you will.
Yeah. The thing about channeling is the main thing about channeling. If anybody out there wants to be a channel, what you really have to focus on is getting yourself out of the way, so whoever they are, they can come through and deliver their material without your getting in the way. Now, when I started in 72, there was no one to talk to about channeling, so I had to figure all the stuff out by myself. Nowadays, there's a channel on every corner, so you can talk to anybody and everybody about channeling, and everybody is teaching people how to channel, so there's a lot of support now, which wasn't there in 72. And it took me 8 years to figure out how to get myself out of the way so that I can trust what he was saying, and make sure that, you know, he knew what he was talking about, basically, because this was like real different for me.
Yeah, and obviously it's been happening for such a long time, Tom. I mean, it's something. Have you ever had to suppress this channeling? Has it ever kind of come on maybe at a non-opportune time?
Yeah. In fact, you've heard of the things called meetup groups, right?
Right. Uh-huh.
Well, we were at a meetup group a couple of times within the last year, maybe year and a half, and it was all about UFOs and spirit phenomena and stuff like that. And I really, really, really felt Abram's energy around, and I just really had to focus on not letting it get the best of me. Otherwise, he would have come through and he would have started speaking to a group, you know, at the meetup, which I did not want to do because it would have been out of place for me to do that. And I knew he wanted to talk, but you know, I had to tell him, like, hey, you know, later.
Right.
Can't do it right now.
Is he brought a lot of knowledge to you, Tom? I mean, does his knowledge? I mean, do you see or sense his knowledge and his experiences in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, I do. For a lot of years, people would come up to me and say, "Man, you know, this is really a gift. You have a gift. You should really be proud of it." And I would always, you know, turn to them and say, "I don't see it as a gift. This is just something that I do." So for a lot of years, I didn't even listen to the tapes when I was recording sessions. Back then, it was tapes, you know.
Right.
And one day, I was doing a private session for somebody in L.A., and at the end of the session, Abram left, and the guy told me, he said, "This just really changed my life. I want to thank you very much." And we hung up, and I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? This guy really knows what he's talking about, and this material is really changing people's lives, so I think I should start listening to what he's saying. And I did, and more I'm finding myself living what he talks about, which is really nice, because he talks about truth and having love and compassion for people. Although I don't love a lot of people, a lot of the time I have love for them and have compassion for them, but there are a lot of people that I do love, and you know, a lot of people that I'm still trying to figure out.
Right, exactly. In your questions that you sent to me, some talking points, laws of the universe and laws of attraction. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
Is this something that Abram has gifted you, if you will?
Everybody knows about the law of attraction. There have been books, there have been DVDs done about the law of attraction, and most of them, if not all of them, tell about the law of attraction, but they don't tell you how to use it.
Right.
So in our book, The Art of Reclaiming Your Intention and Power, Abram goes into what the law of attraction is all about and how to use it and what to do with it, which is really nice. So I will let Sue take over, because she you know, even though all this information came through me for the book, after all the times I've read the book, at times I still don't know what's in the book. I still have to go back and read through it. So kind of hard for me to remember because there's so much in the book.
Yeah, so much there.
Yeah, but Sue can do a good job of explaining the law of attraction and how to use the law of attraction.
Well, in the beginning of the book, and this is what I like so much about Abram, is that he talks about, in the very beginning, what our limitations are and how we limit ourselves and how we have grown up. At this point in our lives, at everyone's life, right now, at this very moment, we are a culmination of everyone that we have met and been involved with. We exchange energy with people. We exchange ideas with people. We exchange beliefs with people. We subconsciously, consciously take on other people's beliefs. They take ours. There's a constant give and take between people because everything is energy, which the scientists are now, they're coming on board with a lot of the metaphysical beliefs that have been around for centuries. So Abram talks about the limiting beliefs that we have and how we have been programmed and brought up by well-meaning people, our parents, schools, churches, all kinds of different belief systems out there. So he leads people into discovering what their limiting beliefs might be. And he talks about fear, and he talks about fear of rejection, and how you can break free of limiting beliefs, how to be in a state of creative functionality, that we absolutely deserve everything. Whatever we desire, whatever we would like this world to be, whatever we would like our life to be, we do deserve to have what we desire. That's what the universe, and we create and co-create the universe. So it's still what we put in
is what you're going to
get back.
Right.
Exactly. And he likes to view this reality, this three-dimensional reality, because a lot of people believe that we are here to learn lessons and that it's a struggle and that we should face and we should suffer. And this is not his point of view at all, that we should see this world as a playground and that we should use our creativity, and that we're learning to use our creativity, and that we are learning to use our imagination because everything is imagination. Everything begins with imagination. And he talks about freedom, personal freedom, and talking about how to create and manifest without desperation.
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes, though, it seems like we're in a desperate world, though.
Yeah. But we have to look at it. We've created this ourselves. Nobody came.
Right.
There aren't any aliens that came in here and made us do all of this.
Right.
And he does have good things to say about what our future is and where we are going. But it's like everyone's basically personal responsibility to love themselves and to be creative and have that universal love. We do not have to love everyone that we meet.
Right.
We don't have to like everyone we meet. But if we have that love for humanity and we have that love for creativity and imagination, and that we act on our highest excitement and passion and not giving that up, and taking your highest passion and excitement and following that and doing that to the best of your ability, which may be different day to day, but if you follow that and then you have no expectations from people or what's going to happen, you just drop all of the expectations, because that's where we hang ourselves up also, is with expectations. And he talks about in the book what the universal shift was all about and how to become our own reality. And he talks about not even trusting, but knowing who you are, knowing what you want, how you want to be, how you want to announce yourself to other people and to the world. Confidence. He talks about the ego and how the ego, we should view the ego as our friend. And the ego is here to serve us. We do need the ego to exist in this three-dimensional reality. We need it. But he talks about the ego being a daily point of motivation. So if you can see how you are motivated every day and see how your ego is performing and working for you, you can check in with yourself. The ego is not the enemy. And we do need the ego. It is part of us. People talk about how we need to get rid of the ego, but then you're trying to get rid of part of yourself.
Right.
So the ego is part of us.
You got to kind of learn how to work with the total package, the good, the bad, the challenges, the gifts.
Exactly.
We've got a bunch of questions for you. Can we go ahead and post them up to you?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Carol from the West Coast writes in, says, Tom and Sue, this is it says, was there a during your manifestations, was there a perceptible difference in the air of the room, a change of air pressure, a post-lightning type strike, electricity, smells? Was there any physical evidence there?
From what people have told me that I can remember, a lot of times when I do a session, even now, even after all these years, people will sense a change in the atmosphere in the room. Okay. They'll feel almost like a slight electricity in the room, a slight energy tingling feeling in the room. And a lot of people will feel Abram's energy, and a lot of people still see Abram as if he would be standing behind me while he's speaking to them. So I don't know if smells, if the room changes and people smell different things, but they have felt and they still feel a change in the atmosphere in the room. Yeah.
Okay, so it was yeah. Okay, gotcha. Another question is Eric from Boston writes and says, Tom, have you ever done a past life regression?
All right. Let me get a little strange here for a minute, Eric. When I first started channeling the John Rolfe's personality, speaking, I'm drawing a blank. Quick, help me. What did he talk about? Shakespeare stuff. I went through hypnosis and discovered that was one of my past lives. And that's when I started thinking, all right, now I'm really I've gone off the edge. But through a number of hypnosis sessions, we found out a lot about that life, and I actually had a flashback of that life. But that's the only life that I've ever been regressed to or saw or had a vision or a flash of. That's the only life. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay. No,
I can expand on that.
Go ahead.
It's now Tom and I, when we were in Milwaukee, we did go our separate ways. He moved back to California. I moved to the Washington State. And I found him on the Internet in 2008. And I went out. He was living out in Arizona. I was here in Florida. And I went out. I was supposed to go out for a 4-day weekend to see him and reconnect with him. And I ended up staying 5 months. And then I came back to Jacksonville. He followed. And so this is where we are. in conversations with Abram, because I had always been curious about that night that he came up into my face and was stabbing his chest. Because I've lived for 35 years thinking I murdered Tom in a past life. As silly as it sounds, I carried this with me for 35 years.
Sometimes you got to draw this out on a piece of paper, guys.
So in a private session with Abram one night, I said, okay, tell me, what's the deal? What was that all about? And so he told me about this life. Tom and I knew each other in this life. I was married to someone else. My husband and I had a party at our house. Tom was there. He got into a fight, and that's where the duel happened. So someone else killed Tom, not me. But it was at my party. So we knew each other in that life. And that's about the only, all of the information that we have about the John Rolfe's life. Tom has not had any kind of feelings or dreams or thoughts or anything about any other past lives.
Okay. Another question for you. RW writes in and says, is channeling similar to remote viewing in that one must reach a certain frame of mind to do this?
I know very little about remote viewing. Sue knows more than I do, but I'd have to answer that question this way. Any type of metaphysical work that a person wants to do, the person has to reach a certain frame of mind for whatever that work might be. So if you want to do channeling, you have to have a certain frame of mind for that. If you want to be a psychic medium like Sue is, you have to have a certain frame of mind like for that. Remote viewing would be the same way. I would say you have to have that, but I think every one would be different from the next. I hope that helps.
Sure. No, it does. Okay. It does, without a doubt.
Okay.
Another question from my good friend Bill in upstate New York says, Tom and Sue, can Abram be channeled by Tom calling at any time, or does Abram decide when it's time to channel? I think you answered that already, but
I'll add a little bit to that. In Milwaukee, it used to happen like at 4:30 in the morning, and I would jump out of bed and yell for everybody to get the recorder. And then it got to a point where I told him, I said, look, if we're going to do this, and I'm willing to work with you, but it's got to be like on a Wednesday night at 8 o'clock from now on, or let's forget it, because this is killing me. So it started happening at 8 o'clock on Wednesday nights, and that's when I was channeling for the group at the school in Milwaukee. It's at the point now where I can do it anytime I want, and it never happens by itself, except for when it almost did in that meetup group within the last year and a half, whatever it was. But you need to learn that they are not in control. When you're channeling, you are the one in control. So you can start the channeling when you want. You can end it when you want. And you can even, and this is why it's important to get yourself out of the way, you can even influence what they're saying if you want to. That's how much control you have over it.
Interesting. Very interesting. Ken, we've got to take a quick commercial break here in about 30 seconds or so. But through your research, now you've dealt with Abram, Tom, and Sue. Have you ever heard of people that, have you talked with people or heard of other people that have had these same experiences, and sometimes they get a person to channel through them that maybe has not the greatest of intentions?
Not in my 41 years of doing that.
Okay.
I've run across a lot of people who were sitting in front of me, some of my past students who thought they were able to channel, and I would say, okay, go ahead, do your thing. Who are you?
Right.
And nothing would happen.
Interesting. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Fringe Radio Show. Tom and Sue are our guests tonight for the first hour. Thanks, guys, for both taking your time and being here tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Pat.
We got a bunch of questions sent in, and we actually had a caller that just called in, and I wrote the question down, and there's a couple other questions that are going to kind of revolve around his. The question is, if Abram had 3 physical past lives, why doesn't he manifest into a new human physical life today?
He's told us that in the 3 lives he's learned what he's needed to learn as being a physical person. Now what he's doing is, like we have our jobs, he claims this is his job in non-physical form. So it's a thing where you don't have to live 1,000 times as a physical person. According to Abram, you can live just a couple of times. If you've learned all your lessons, if you want to say it that way, you can move on and become consciousness or spirit or whatever you want to call it. So there's no set number of physical lives that one has to have in order to progress to the next state of whatever existence.
Being existence.
Yeah.
The other question was that our friend Bill in upstate New York wrote and says, where does Abram exist, on what plane or dimension, and is there a metaphysical aspect to Tom's connection with Abram?
Abram has told us that at some point, somewhere, somehow, whenever, he and I had gotten together and decided that we were going to do this in this, my present physical life. We were going to work together in this way. I don't think in terms of them, whoever they are, the spirits, Abram and his buddies or whatever, I don't think in terms of them living in a certain dimension or on a certain plane or anything like that. I think, and it's my belief, that once you get to where they are spiritually or as evolved as they are, I think you can be anywhere. I don't think you have to be in or on any certain plane or dimension. That's what I think.
Do you think we all have the ability to do this?
I think everybody has the ability to channel something, maybe not channel the way I do. I've taught channeling classes in L.A., and out of all of the classes that I taught, I remember one person coming out being a channel the way I channel, and the rest of the people did channel something. I'm not sure if they were channeling spirits or their higher self or just an ability to be an artist or a musician or something like that. But there's a lot of different ways to channel. Just, not only what I do. I'm also a musician. I channel music,
Do you, another question, and this kind of ties into the others, but it says, has Abram ever described to you how the process works as far as past lives and how to reincarnate into a biological host? As you stated, he feels that he has done his job, and this is now his job or his calling.
Yeah.
Has he, and maybe it's just an irrelevant question, but has he ever talked to you or let you know or explained, has there been other people like him, other beings like him that have actually reincarnated?
When he's talked about reincarnation, he's told us that when a person is in spirit, before the spirit reincarnates as a physical person, the spirit will choose the family and friends and circumstances for his or her life. So the spirit will create a design for the life. As it gets closer to the little baby being born, the spirit can join the body as it's still in the mom, leave the body, join the body, leave, go back and forth until a certain point when it's necessary for the spirit to stay in the little bitty body and be born as a physical person. Maybe Sue can add some stuff to that too. That's what I remember.
I can. In readings that I have done with people, most recently a woman who is pregnant. She's 4 months pregnant, and that soul came through for her to give her some information about one of his past lives, and he said that he had his last physical life was that of a Confederate soldier. He had been on his own since he was 14. He had no family. He joined the Confederacy because he needed to be somewhere. He needed to be a part of something. So his joining was not out of had anything to do with the war. It was emotional reasons that he joined, and he was killed very quickly on the battlefield. And so she had said, "Oh no," and I said, "No. This has nothing to do with. He's not bringing into this life any issues from that. That he wanted her to know that he had this kind of life, that he was on his own at the age of 14, and that in this physical life that he's going to have with her, that he was going to be extremely independent and strong-willed, and that she needed to be prepared for that. And how much he loved her, and how much, and that he had chosen her as his mother. He knew the circumstances that he was coming into. Apparently she's not in very good circumstances. And that he's aware of the circumstances. And he was telling me that he had completed his design, his life design, that he was basically tying up loose ends and going around and visiting friends and connecting with friends that are also going to be in this physical life with him. And sometimes we come in clusters like grape clusters. We come into our physical life with people that we know. Sometimes it changes. Sometimes we come in and we come in with people we've never had a life with before. But usually we come in clusters of knowing people, and we choose our families, and we choose our circumstances, and we choose our experiences, and everything that happens to us in life, no matter how tragic it seems on the surface, is for our higher good. And a lot of we have appointments that we have, and basically if people understood this, that we kind of do set up our own circumstances, that maybe it would be easier for people to take responsibility more for their thoughts and their feelings and their actions. But yes, absolutely, people know and what their circumstances are. And Tom and Abram made this arrangement, and apparently, since I'm involved with this twice now in 40 years, I'm part of that agreement also.
Do you think that we talk about we pick our design, or we design our life, and maybe you've done it several times. Do you think we pick our departure date too when we leave?
Yeah, Abram says we do, and he also says we can change it. So if you had chosen, or if someone chooses to die at 93 years old from a heart attack or whatever, the person can actually change how he or she is going to die and when. And it's just like the past. People think the past is set in stone. Abram tells everybody that they can change the past. It's a matter of imagining the past changing, and because you imagine it is because everything is an illusion. Reality is an illusion. Nothing is real. Everything is space. It's empty space. So if something is an illusion, it's imaginary. And if you imagine it changing, what you imagine will take place in reality
Yeah, it does. It does. It can be it can be confusing too.
It can. If you try to figure some of the stuff out, it can drive you crazy.
It can really drive you crazy.
Yeah.
Because the past, present, and future all exist at the same time. So it's not like we go from, human beings like to think in a linear fashion and that there's a beginning and an end. But if you start to think that everything is existing all at the same time, that we are multidimensional beings, there are many, many aspects of it. Just take a look at your dreams at night and how many people show up in your dreams. Those are all aspects of you. Usually, if one person shows up and has a conversation with you, it's pretty close to having a visitation from someone. But when there are multiple people and you see all these multiple people in your dreams, they are actually aspects of you. So think of a dream crowded with people and think of ourselves being multidimensional and all of those individuals having lives,
right,
coexisting in parallel dimensions and universes. It can get really confusing.
It can. It can. You guys want to take a quick call? We've got a couple minutes left.
Sure.
Okay, sure, yeah.
All right. Caller, good evening. Welcome to K-Talk. You're on with Tom and Sue.
Hey, how you doing, pal?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. I'd like to ask a question and preface it with a statement, if that's okay.
Yeah, we got about a minute, Harv. Go ahead.
Okay, you can walk the Camino, or you can ride a horse on the Camino, or a bike. Now, I chose. I'm lazy, so I chose to try to get that contact they had by going with the Indian medicine man and using peyote. Is it the same? Is it kinda? Is it almost? I don't know.
Sue knows a lot about the American Indians and
I'm going to let him answer, okay, Harv?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
and shamans and all that stuff. So is like what we do, is it kind of like when they do their ceremonies with peyote and stuff like that, or
the hallucinations, like with peyote, ayahuasca, and things like that, is the ayahuasca is the closest to receiving visions in my mediumship. That's the only thing that I can say that's close to. Peyote and all of that, I can't make the connection.
Yeah, no, I can't either.
Outside of maybe it kind of maybe what Harv was kind of getting, maybe it lets maybe it lets some of the I don't want to say the senses down, but maybe it maybe it allows you to be a little bit more open thinking, I guess.
Puts the conscious mind aside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Guys, this hour went way too quick, and we need to get you back on again. I only had an hour tonight, but I promise we'll get you back on before the year is up. Why don't you give our listeners, tell them where the website is and where they can go ahead and get your book.
Okay, first it's on Amazon. It's available on Amazon. It's also on our websites. Abram's website is Abram Channeling, and it's spelled ABRAM, abramchanneling.com. And Sue's website is mediumshifunplugged.com.
You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Okay.
And the book is available also as an ebook with all of to all of the readers, different readers.
We need to get you back on, and I know it was on your talking list about actually having Abram speak, and I would love to do that. And let's stay in touch. I will stay in touch with you, and
okay.
Let's get you back on in November or December again and pick back up, because a lot more to cover here.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, we can get into a lot of different things.
Exactly. Again, but I appreciate you coming on, and it's a little preview, so that's good. That'll keep everybody guessing, and we'll get you on and get you on for a full couple hours.
Yep, what we do always keeps me guessing too.
All right, guys, it was an honor to have you here tonight. Thank you so much for giving up some time on a Saturday night. And again, we'll get your calendars set up and get you back on real soon.
Great, our pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pat.
Take care, my friends. Good night.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.